Hello America, this is Jose Torres, your first and hopefully never your only video host of this channel on politics. And just a short message that pertains to the impeachment trial that's going on right now. Officially, I am a Democrat who believes that Trump 100% has the power to change an ambassador or foreign policy as he pleases, and I believe that because I've read Article 2 of the Constitution. And please forward this to anyone who, might be unclear about that. But, you knew there was a but coming, didn't you? The first three words of the first sentence of the preamble of the beginning of the Constitution start with "we the people." So whenever he does something using some of his official powers, it must be in service to those who gave him the power, we the people. For example, the Constitution says, this is like the first sentence, we the people, in order to create a more perfect union, to establish justice, to ensure domestic tranquility, I think there's another thing, and do hereby establish for both ourselves and for posterity, we do these things, like establish Article 1, which establishes the legislature and the legislative branch, and establish Article 2, which establishes the executive branch, and Article 3. And, why were the legislature giving these powers and the executive given these powers and the judicial given these powers? Well, part of that answer is separation of powers, which I'll go into in just a second. But the purpose for which is the other part of the why, the purpose for which they were given those powers was said in the first sentence. In order to establish a more perfect union, to achieve a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, we do hereby do these things. And we give the office of the presidency enormous power. And we entrust the person who occupies the office of the presidency to make a large number of decisions on our behalf, like pick an ambassador and set a foreign policy, or not change the policy of the guy before, or whatever, right? The person before. And we trust them that person is doing their functions, using their official powers for the benefit of we the people. Did we give them the power just because we like them? No, we gave them the power because we had to give it to somebody, and then we entrust that person with the sacred responsibility. After all, people who are elected are referred to as public servants. Now, I would love to be angry and spit nails, but that doesn't work. Hate will not drive out hate. So later in this message, I'm going to ask everybody to use love and compassion and understanding and forgiveness and acceptance. And yeah, that's going to be hard. But, just think about the first part where you get to win the argument over, yes, they get to appoint their ambassadors, but they should be done in service of we the people. Because, does anybody know who the current U.S. ambassador is to Djibouti? Whoever that person is, I bet you some of their friends say, wait. That's in Africa, right? I think he's an ambassador, or she's an ambassador in Africa. And they probably would, is Africa a country? They probably wouldn't even know for certain. We entrust the president to make all kinds of decisions like these. And then, every president except this one has held themselves accountable to answering questions in press conferences routinely. And those press conferences have involved, legitimate questions from the press that are asking questions on behalf of we the people to understand how it is that the person who has been entrusted with all of this power is using it appropriately. Now, the Constitution and the framers were definitely concerned with people's ambitions. One of the biggest fears was that only ambitious people would run for office and seek this power. And how, dear God, how would they stop people from abusing this power? Or how would they stop this power from going run away? Because most people don't observe limits. They have to be checked. They have to have an authority that stands over them. And what was the solution that the framers of the Constitution found? They countered the ambitions of men by setting them against the ambitions of other men in something called checks and balances, where every element of our government, every person who's involved, has someone that they are accountable to and some way that they must be accountable. And if you think that the only time that a president must be accountable to we the people is at an election, basically once every 4 years, then I tell you what, I'm going to go become certified to be a money manager, and I want to manage your money. And 4 years from now, I'll tell you how well your money is doing. Invest with me. Are you willing? How much money am I going to get? I'm excited to know. So these people who get elected are called public servants for a reason, because they must serve we the people. Why? To form a more perfect union, to establish justice, to ensure domestic tranquility, to provide for the common defense, and to establish these liberties for now and for posterity. And when we entrust presidents, we accept that they will use their judgment. For example, everyone knows that the judgment of William Jefferson Clinton was very different from George Walker Bush. And that's okay. I mean, it wasn't necessary, no one would probably prefer them both, but you know, they were elected and they had earned the trust of the people, and then when they did things that broke the trust, hopefully they worked to regain it. So now comes my hard part. If you 100% believe that the president's powers must be exercised in service of we the people, I ask you to forward this very video to somebody who doesn't. But I also ask you to do it with the spirit of love, with the spirit of compassion, with the spirit of understanding, acceptance, and forgiveness. And to pick one person, just one person, that you care about personally, but with whom you disagree with politically, and say, look, I forwarded this message to you. Let's talk about it. And tell them you're going to do it with love, compassion, understanding, forgiveness, and acceptance. Because here's the truth. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. No, one of our greatest presidents believed this, and in his inaugural addresses, he gave us this phrase, with malice for none and charity for all. That was Abraham Lincoln, and he understood in the middle of a war that we had to have acceptance and forgiveness for the people, because what's most important is preservation of our union and of our way of life and this Constitution. And when a bunch of people blindly cede that power, or when the senators in the Senate pretend that it's okay for Trump to change an ambassador or to change a policy whenever they want, willy-nilly, without also acknowledging that that power must be exercised on behalf of we the people, they're attempting to whitewash and wash away the important checks and balances into the highest law of our land. And that's worse than a constitutional amendment done just like that. Just, going to snap out a constitutional amendment, because what you're doing right now, and what the members of the House Intelligence Committee that asked some of the same damn questions on November 15th, 2019, isn't even being written down. It's like you're creating a whole new constitutional amendment. Well, when I like the president, we don't have to have checks and balances, and we don't have to say that the president should be accountable to we the people. And you're not even writing it down. So when I ask you to forward this video to your friend who you care about, but with whom you disagree with politically, do it with compassion and love and understanding and forgiveness, because this channel seeks to increase those things in our politics. We put those things on top of truth and honesty, because without them you cannot have love. And we know that hate will not drive out hate. Only love can do that. And I give you this message, and I hope you share it, with malice for none and charity for all. This is Jose Torres signing off from this new civic-minded video channel on politics.